In a world shaped by landscapes, cultures, and hidden patterns, there's always a deeper story beneath the surface. Welcome to the terrain of thoughts.
Imagine this. You're walking home alone, past midnight. The wind is freezing. The streets are silent. Your breath hangs in the air like smoke, and yet you feel safe. No one's watching you. No one is shouting in the distance. No cars slowing down behind you. In fact, you're more worried about slipping on ice than being robbed. Here's the strange part. Some of the safest societies on Earth live in some of the darkest, coldest corners of the planet. So, what's really happening up here in the far north? Tonight, we explore why countries like Norway, Denmark, Iceland, Finland, and Sweden are unusually safe, and what their story reveals about the hidden link between geography, history, and human psychology. Before we jump to conclusions, let's start with a simple question. Are the Nordic countries genuinely safer than most of the world? Or is the world just romanticizing them? Global crime data consistently places them among the lowest in serious violent crime. Not perfect, no place is, but far better than many wealthy, comfortable nations. Yes, Sweden has faced recent gang-related challenges. Yes, inequality and segregation are creating pressure points. But overall, the region stands out as a cluster of high-trust, low-violence, quietly orderly societies. The real mystery isn't why is crime zero here? It's why is everyday violence so much lower here, even compared to places with warmer climates, more sunshine, and far easier living conditions. To understand the answer, we have to travel back, thousands of years back. Long before Nordic countries became rich, long before they built welfare states, people here were fighting something far more powerful than crime. They were fighting nature. Picture a small village 1,000 years ago, snow piling against wooden homes, darkness swallowing half the year, a single storm capable of destroying the entire season's food supply. Inside a shared hut, families stored sacks of barley and smoked fish. The only thing standing between them and starvation. In this world, one rule was non-negotiable. You protect the group, or the group doesn't survive. One theft wasn't just selfish, it was deadly. Every winter demanded cooperation. Villagers repaired each other's tools, shared firewood when someone ran out, hunted together, survived together. Over generations, this icy environment shaped cultural instincts. Be reliable. Stay calm. Don't disturb the community, because chaos in winter meant death by spring. And today, those ancient instincts echo in surprising ways. The quiet metro trains, the orderly queues, the shared respect for public spaces. Nordic trust didn't appear out of nowhere. It was carved by geography, by centuries of surviving the unforgiving North. Geography planted the seed of cooperation. History turned it into a system. By the late 1800s and early 1900s, Nordic countries made a radical decision to build societies where no one falls too far behind. Universal education, healthcare, affordable childcare, unemployment benefits, retirement security. These weren't luxuries. They were social stabilizers. Criminologists have a simple observation. The more extreme the inequality, the more people are pushed toward crime, not because they want to, but because survival narrows their choices. The Nordic model doesn't erase inequality, but it narrows it enough to remove one of crime's biggest fuel sources, hopelessness. At the same time, these countries invested in something equally important: trusted, professional police forces. In many regions worldwide, police represent fear. Here, they often represent order, a piece of the same social contract that funds welfare and education. When people trust institutions, something interesting happens. They follow the rules voluntarily, and when rules feel fair, breaking them feels wrong, not just risky. Now, let's step inside the Nordic mindset. One of the strongest psychological forces here is generalized trust. The idea that most strangers are probably honest.
that your lost wallet might come back, that people will follow rules even when no one is watching, that society is, by default, fair. This changes human behavior in subtle but powerful ways. If you expect others to be fair, you have no reason to strike first, no reason to carry weapons out of fear, no reason to assume the worst. Low fear, low aggression, lower impulsive crime. But trust alone isn't the strongest force. There is something even more powerful: social shame. In small, interconnected societies, your reputation is everything. If you get caught stealing, cheating, or scamming, punishment doesn't end with the law. It continues quietly at work, in the neighborhood, inside your community. People distance themselves. Opportunities disappear. You become the one who broke the trust. Psychologists call this informal social control. The invisible pressure that keeps behavior in line because people genuinely care about how they are seen. In the Nordics, damaging your reputation can feel worse than the crime itself, and that invisible force quietly keeps society stable. But let's be honest, Nordic safety isn't a frozen fairy tale. Sweden is facing a serious wave of gang violence, driven by inequality, segregated suburbs, and organized criminal networks. Other Nordic countries are debating integration, youth marginalization, and the rising cost of welfare systems. These issues prove something important. Safety isn't guaranteed by latitude or snow. When people feel excluded, or when criminal networks gain territory, even high-trust societies can struggle. The Nordic miracle isn't a finished product. It's a system that requires constant maintenance, smart policing, social inclusion, and modern policies that adapt to new pressures.
So what can other countries truly learn from the North? Lesson 1. Fight inequality early. When people have access to education, healthcare, and basic security, crime loses one of its biggest root causes. Lesson 2. Build trust, not just prisons. Trust makes people follow rules because they want to, not because they fear punishment. It's a psychological shift that takes time, but it transforms societies. Lesson 3. Culture shapes behavior. Norms that value modesty, discourage aggressive displays, and prioritize the common good can lower everyday conflict without anyone noticing. You can't import a culture overnight, but you can design schools, cities, and institutions that reward cooperation instead of glorifying violence. In the end, cold weather isn't what makes safe societies. Human choices do. The systems we build, the values we reinforce, the invisible expectations we pass down across generations.
So, next time you see a ranking listing a Nordic country as one of the safest or happiest places on Earth, remember, behind that number is a long story of harsh geography, cooperative history, and a psychology shaped by centuries of survival. Cold winters encouraged unity. Politics turned unity into institutions, and those institutions shaped the minds of millions. If you enjoyed this journey into how geography shapes human behavior, make sure to subscribe to The Terrain of Thoughts. Here, maps aren't just about borders. They're blueprints of how we think, feel, and survive together.